Genesis says God spoke the world into being. But in China, it all began with a cosmic egg, and in India, a sound Om. Every religion tells a different origin story. But which one actually makes sense? Let's find out. Let's start with the story most people in the West know. Genesis. In the beginning, there's nothing. And then a voice. God speaks, and instantly light. Darkness separates. Sky, waters part. Land, plants burst out of the ground. The sun, moon, and stars get switched on like lamps in the sky. And then comes humanity. Not an afterthought, but the highlight, created in God's image. That's a radical idea. Humans aren't just clever animals. They're reflections of the Creator, designed with dignity and responsibility. Here's the twist. Unlike many ancient creation myths, there's no cosmic battle, no gods slashing monsters to form the world. Genesis is calm, deliberate, and orderly. Creation isn't born out of violence. It's born out of a word. And on the seventh day, God rests. It's not because he's tired, but because the work is complete, and creation itself is declared very good. But jump across the world to India. The universe looks nothing like a one-time event. It's more like an eternal cycle on repeat. Hinduism doesn't give just one creation story. It gives many like different windows into the same mystery. One version says everything began inside the cosmic egg Hiranyagarbha. When it cracked open, the heavens and earth spilled out. Another says creation started with a sound, not thunder, not speech, but the sacred syllable, Om, a single vibration that still echoes through meditation today. And then there are the gods, Vishnu, who preserves the world, dreaming it into being. Brahma, who creates it. Shiva, who dissolves it, so the cycle can begin again. Creation here isn't a straight line with a start and end. It's an endless rhythm of birth, death, and rebirth. The meaning. Reality isn't a one-time story you read and close. It's a cycle you're caught inside until you break free. But not every religion sees the universe as eternal. In Islam, the story has a clear beginning, and a dramatic rebellion woven right into it. In Islam, creation begins with a command from Allah. The heavens and the earth are made in 6 days, and everything is perfectly measured. But the real drama comes with the creation of humanity. Adam is formed from clay, shaped by God's own hands, and given life with his breath. Then God commands the angels to bow before Adam. Everyone obeys, except one. Iblis, better known as Satan, refuses out of pride. He won't bow to clay. That single act of rebellion sparks a cosmic conflict that explains why temptation, struggle, and evil exist in the world. So, creation in Islam isn't just about the universe being made. It's also about the first test of obedience, a reminder that life itself is a trust, and humans are meant to be stewards of God's world. But now, let's shift to China, where the universe doesn't come from clay or even a voice. It comes from an egg. In Taoism, the story begins not with a person, but with the Tao. The Tao is the way, the mysterious source of everything, but not a God you can see or name. Out of the Tao comes one. From one comes two, yin and yang. From two comes three. And from there, the 10,000 things, which is just a poetic way of saying all of reality. Another Taoist story speaks of a cosmic egg. Inside it, a giant named Pangu slept. After 18,000 years, he woke up, cracked the shell, and separated heaven and earth. As he grew taller, the sky stretched higher, the ground sank lower. When he finally died, his body became the world. His breath became the wind. His eyes the sun and moon. His blood the rivers. The meaning? Creation isn't a single event. It's a flowing balance of opposites, yin and yang, sky and earth, life and death, all woven together by the Tao. But not every religion speaks in riddles or cosmic eggs. Judaism, for example, begins with the same Genesis story as Christianity, but with some surprising twists you've probably never heard. Judaism begins with the same Genesis account, God creating the heavens and earth in 6 days, resting on the seventh. But here's where it gets interesting. Jewish tradition doesn't stop at the text. Rabbis layered it with centuries of commentary and midrash, adding depth and imagination. Some rabbis taught that God used the Torah itself as a blueprint, almost like an architect holding plans before building a house. Others suggested that before creating our world, God created and destroyed many worlds, until he finally made one that could last. And unlike modern debates over science and faith, Judaism often treated creation less as a how-to manual and more as a mystery pointing back to the Creator. The key meaning? The world isn't random. It's sacred, ordered by God, and humanity's role is to honor the covenant and bring repair. What Jews call tikkun olam, healing the world. But in Buddhism, creation isn't the focus at all. In fact, the Buddha once warned, asking about the universe's beginning is like asking how many leaves are on every tree. It distracts from the real problem. Buddhism flips the script. The Buddha didn't claim to be a god, and he didn't tell a story about the world being made by one. Instead, he taught that existence itself is a cycle. Countless worlds arise and pass away, again and again. But the real issue isn't when or how creation happened. It's why we suffer inside it. The Buddha's Four Noble Truths are basically, life is suffering. Suffering comes from desire. Ending desire ends suffering, and there's a path to escape. So while other religions tell dramatic stories of gods shaping the cosmos, Buddhism says, forget the origin story. Focus on your story. End desire, and you can break out of the cycle altogether into nirvana. The meaning. Creation isn't the question. Liberation is. But then Sikhism comes along and says, yes, there is one God behind everything, but not the way most Westerners picture him. Sikhism begins with one bold statement, Eka Onkar. There is one God, timeless, formless, and beyond full understanding. According to Sikh teaching, the universe came into being through God's command, not with chaos or battle, but with a word of divine will. And here's the twist. This God is not distant. He isn't separate from creation, watching from a throne far away. Instead, he's present within it, sustaining every breath and heartbeat. But unlike Hinduism, Sikhs reject idols or physical images of the divine. God is too vast to be carved into stone or painted onto canvas. Instead, the divine is seen through truth, justice, and humility. The meaning. Creation is sacred because God is woven through every part of it, which means serving others, seeking equality, and living with integrity aren't just good deeds. They're spiritual acts of aligning with the Creator. But in the ancient pagan myths of Greece and the frozen North, creation wasn't peaceful at all. It was bloody, chaotic, and often brutal. Take the Greeks. For them, the universe began with chaos. Out of it came Gaia, the earth, who gave birth to the sky, the sea, and the mountains. But it doesn't stop there. The gods constantly fight, overthrow, and betray one another. The world itself is almost a battlefield of divine family drama. Now jump north to the Norse myths. Everything starts with fire and ice colliding in a void. From that clash, a giant named Ymir is born. When the gods finally kill him, they use his body to build the world. His flesh becomes the land, his blood the seas, his bones the mountains, and his skull the sky. The twist. Creation here comes not from harmony, but from violence. The world is literally stitched together from conflict and sacrifice. And the meaning. For these cultures, life was fragile, shaped by powers that were unpredictable, sometimes generous, sometimes cruel. The gods weren't perfect. They were just bigger versions of us. But in many indigenous traditions, creation wasn't about battles or giants. It was about family, nature, and the earth itself rising to life. Across indigenous cultures, creation is told not with wars in the heavens, but with stories rooted in the earth itself. One of the most famous is the Turtle Island story from Native American tradition. In the beginning, the world was covered in water. Sky Woman fell from the heavens, landing on the back of a giant turtle. Animals dove into the depths to bring up mud, and when they placed it on the turtle's shell, it grew into land. That land became North America, Turtle Island. Other indigenous stories speak of Earth as a mother, of animals as partners, of creation as something communal. The twist here is profound. Humans aren't the rulers of creation. They're woven into it, dependent on nature, connected to animals, responsible for balance. The meaning? Creation isn't just a one-time event. It's a relationship, one that can be broken or healed, depending on how we live with the land. But what if you don't believe in gods, sky women, or cosmic eggs at all. That's where the modern scientific worldview comes in. Science tells a very different story. About 13.8 billion years ago, all matter and energy was packed into a single, unimaginable point. Then came the Big Bang. Space itself expanded, stars and galaxies formed, and eventually, tiny blue Earth appeared. Billions of years later, life emerged. Single-celled organisms, then fish, then reptiles, then mammals, and finally humans. The twist. There's no divine voice, no cosmic egg, no godly rebellion, just physics, chemistry, and time. Something from nothing. Order out of chaos, with no storyteller behind the script. For many atheists, that's the meaning. The universe has no built-in purpose. Meaning is something we create for ourselves. And whether you find that freeing or terrifying, it's the most popular origin story taught in classrooms around the world. Every religion has its origin story. Some begin with chaos, some with cycles, some with silence, and some with nothing at all. But only one begins with a God who speaks life into existence, who shapes humanity in his image and calls it good. And that same story doesn't just stop at the beginning. It points forward to a savior who steps into creation, dies to redeem it, and promises a new creation where all things are made right again. So the question isn't just which story you believe about the past. It's whether you'll live inside the one story that offers hope for the future.